Sometimes I see ideas for blog posts and I'm like, I gotta do this. Hey guys, Girl About Library, and I'm here today to talk about some hidden gem books. Most of the time, what I read and what you see on booktube are the same books kind of over and over again. And that's totally okay. Most of those books are really good and we should all be reading them. Some of them aren't though, and that's book hype and it's tragic. But every now and then you read a book that's kind of out of your norm. It's a hidden gem, not that many people have heard about it. You kind of feel like a pioneer, like you're going out, you're venturing out into new and exciting territory. I have 5 books to share with you guys that are that for me. I don't hear about these books very often on booktube, but I love them and I think everyone should read them. This video idea is from a blog post that I saw on the Artsy Reader. I will link that down below. It's for Top 10 Tuesday, which if you have a blog or you make videos on YouTube, definitely check that out because the prompt ideas are so good. So I had some criteria in order to make the cut because I had a lot of books that I had read where I felt like they're not talked about as much on booktube, but they're still pretty popular. So in order to make the cut, the book had to have 5,000 reviews or less on Goodreads. That was like my marker in order to make the video. First up is Setting Free the Kites by Alex George. I have talked about this book before on my channel, and I think one of my first 60-second book reviews was of this book. I'll link that down below too if you're interested. So the book has 2,000 ratings. I gave it 5 stars, but the Goodreads average is 4. So people like this book, and there's a good reason for that. We all need to read it. This is one of those books where I'm like,
you get a copy and you get a copy and you get...
Everyone needs to read this book. It follows a teen named Robert Carter. I think the book starts when he's in 8th grade. It's been a little while since I've read it, but I picked up a physical copy at a used bookstore and I want to reread it and maybe make a quote video from it because the language in this book is amazing. It follows a teenager named Robert Carter. It's set in the 1970s, like the late 1970s. But it's not historical fiction in that it is the 1970s and you can tell, but it's not. Anyway, Robert is in the 8th grade. He's pretty awkward and kind of gangly. His dad owns a amusement park that he kind of works part-time at. And his first day of 8th grade, he's getting beaten up, and that's when he meets Nathan. Nathan comes into his life. He's a new kid in school. Their friendship is just the cutest. All of the heart eyes. These two boys need each other and they're just the best of friends in the way that teenage boys are for each other. Both of the boys and their families are going through a lot. I feel like what Nathan is going through is a little bit more guarded in the book. His mom is kind of reclusive and he needs a family structure for sure. But Robert's brother has a disease, a muscular dystrophy, and he's really struggling with it. He's older than Robert. He is in his later teens, and he's definitely aware of how sick he is. And so Robert and his brother have some really touching interactions. Robert and his whole family. This book choked me up real bad. The writing is so good. The characters are really good. I think it has YA appeal because all of the characters that are main focus are in their teenage years. I genuinely don't understand how this book is not more popular, so that's number 1. Number 2 is The 57 Bus by Dashka Slater. This has almost 5,000 ratings, almost didn't make the cut, and I wish it hadn't. I wish more people had read this book. It has a 4.24 star average on Goodreads, and I gave it 5 stars. All of the stars. This book is so well done. I feel like I should be on the street team for this book because I'm always recommending it as a nonfiction pick. It's a nonfiction book about 2 teenagers. One is an agender teenager. The other is a black male teenager. The book's main focus is what happened on the 57 bus, which is that one day the black male teenager lit the skirt of the agender teenager on fire. The agender teenager obviously was injured by what happened and just generally upsetting, horrible thing to happen to you. And then the black male teenager faces a ton of consequences, obviously, for having done this thing. But the book really steps back and takes a look at why did this happen? Could it have been prevented? How did the community respond to it? It's such an interesting book, and it's so even-handed in the way that it looks at everything that happened. Definitely a great nonfiction pick, one that I learned a lot from. Going into the book, I didn't know that much about agender families or teenagers who are agender. And I also had made a lot of assumptions about the black male teenager who would do something like that. And so, yeah, it was just, it's good. Check it out. Number 3 is We Are All the Same by Jim Wooten. Fair warning, reading this book, you're gonna need tissues. And I don't mean like, I don't want like the small little cute package. I want like the big, like Costco industrial size package of tissues. That is what you're going to need. This book only has 964 ratings on Goodreads, which I just, how does that even happen? It has a 4-star average, and I gave it 4 stars as well. The book is written by a man named Jim Wooten. He is a journalist, and he focuses on the story of a young boy named Nkosi Johnson and his adoptive mother. Nkosi was born with AIDS, and his adoptive mother had started a kind of like clinic facility for people who were dying of AIDS. It was a place for them to go, where they could feel safe. Everyone in the building had AIDS as well. They felt understood, and it's an amazing charity that she started. But there were also a lot of children who had AIDS, and their parents couldn't take care of them, and so they could go there as well. And Nkosi is one of those children. Tears. Nkosi just seems like the sweetest young boy, and what he has to go through, the pain that he experiences is unspeakable. But on top of the like emotional level of this book, there's also a lot that I learned from it. Parts of South Africa obviously have just been ravaged by AIDS, but this book really gives like a context to that, because when all of that started, I was in elementary school or younger, and so I didn't really understand like the context of apartheid and just what was going on when AIDS came about that turned it into the crisis that it became. And this book gave that context, which was much appreciated. And 964 ratings. I don't understand. This book is really, really good. Another great nonfiction pick. So yeah. Number 4 is One of the Boys by Daniel Magriel. This book has 2,600 readings. It has a 3.5-star average. I gave it 4 stars. I think it deserves more than 3.5. This book is intense. I think the very first scene in this book is actually, let me get into the plot. So it is about 2 boys and their father. The younger boy is like the perspective that you're getting the story from, and then he has an older brother, and then there's the dad. And I'm pretty sure the first scene in this book is the younger brother getting beaten up by the older brother while the dad is telling him to do it. Can't 100% remember the circumstances why, but once you read the book, not going to be that surprised. It follows this dad who's addicted to drugs, just like his life is spiraling out of control, but he has taken these 2 boys, his sons, away from their mother and has decided that he's going to have primary custody of them, and you see how that affects these 2 guys. They're not guys, they're young men, they're boys, and this, I mean, it's just, it is intense. The dad is the most ridiculous, just like manipulative asshole that I've ever read in a book before. Like But the book is also, it's 167 pages long, and the emotional punch that it packs in those 167 pages, totally, I mean, it is a payoff of a read. If you're looking for something short and intense with like really strong writing and like character development, even like in those short amount of pages, this is the one to pick up. My 5th and final recommendation is IRENA'S Children, and that is written by Hilaire J. Mazzeo. This book has 3,791 ratings. It has a 4.25-star average. I gave it a 4. If you enjoy historical fiction, obviously you probably have read a lot of World War II focused novels. I know I have. There's even more back there that I need to read. It's everywhere. It's hard to escape. But I really like the perspective in this novel. I feel like it's not told as often as it should be. That idea of looking for the helpers in a terrible situation is definitely felt in this book. It is all about the people who helped. And the fact that on top of that it's nonfiction, it's just really, it's a good story, it's powerful, and yeah. IRENA'S Children is about a woman named Irena Sindler. She lived in Poland during World War II. She saved Jewish children by smuggling them out of the ghetto. She worked as a social worker, and so she was allowed access in and out of the ghetto, which is fairly uncommon. She would smuggle children out, but she also kept very carefully detailed records so that when this was all over, the children would hopefully be able to find their parents again. Creating this list and going back and like revisiting the feelings of reading this book, it's just, there's so many different emotions coming from so many different places, because on the one hand, as a parent, I cannot imagine, like, I can't, that what these parents had to go through. On top of that is the bravery, not just of Irena. She's the main focus of the book, but there are probably half a dozen or more different folk that have like some amount of focus in the book that had a heroic action at some point during the war, if not throughout the entire war, despite agreeing to keep Jewish children and sacrifice their own safety and security. Those are my hidden gem books. I hope that you dig through the stacks and find them. They're so good, and I don't understand why more people haven't read them. Do you have a hidden gem book? Do you have a book that you feel like deserves more attention? Please comment down below. Let me know what it is. I would love to pick it up. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe for more bookish content. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great day.